Hello guys, once again welcome to our YouTube channel, and today I am going to explain you pharmacogenetic. So pharmacogenetic, this is our today's topic, and you don't need to do anything. Just for next 5 to 10 minutes listen me carefully, just forget everything, and whatever I am going to tell you next 5 to 10 minutes, just listen carefully, and you are definitely something, you will get something from this video, and you are going to learn the concept of pharmacogenetics. So first of all, what is pharmacogenetics? So as we seen in our practical life, like if same drug produce different effect on different person, what I am telling you, same drug produce different effect on different person. And why same drug is producing different effect on different person? Because of their different genetic makeup, because of their different genetic makeup, or we can say because of their genetic. So in this condition, what are those example, or what are those drug mainly which we have to study in pharmacogenetics, and which can which can produce different effect on different type of person. So first of all, let's try about G6PD deficiency. G6PD deficiency. So first of all, what is G6PD? This is an enzyme, glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase enzyme. And what is the function of this enzyme? Let's try to first understand normal physiology of this enzyme. Then we are going to tell about if anybody have deficiency of this enzyme, then what further will happen because of any drug. So this enzyme, we can say this enzyme present in RBC. And what is the function of this enzyme? Mainly this enzyme help in producing glutathione in reduced form in RBC. And this glutathione in reduced form, this is going to protect our RBC from free radical stress. So now you can understand this enzyme, indirectly what we can say, this enzyme is protect our RBC from free radical stress. Okay, and this enzyme help in different reaction, and whatever the byproduct, those will help in protection of our RBC from free radical stress. This is again it's a different topic. If you want to understand G6PD deficiency and related to their consequences on RBC, you can write down in comment. We will make a separate video on G6PD deficiency. So for now, for understanding this concept, from here we just need to understand one thing in short form, G6PD deficiency help us in protecting our RBC from free radical. Now, and what happen, normally what happen, there are lots of, whenever there is any inflammation in our body and whenever there is any stress, RBC always, from blood flow, RBC give oxygen there, and in whatever site inflammation is there, there are lots of free radical produced there, and whenever RBC cross from there, these free radical can damage the RBC. And ultimately what can happen, if the person or the patient have this enzyme deficiency, ultimately it will not going to protect RBC from free radical stress, and ultimately hemolysis can occur. But this hemolysis will occur because of free radical stress. Why? Because of G6PD deficiency. Now what happens whenever we give some kind of drug? For example, there are some drug which we prescribe any patient, and if that patient have G6PD deficiency, so ultimately what these drug do? These drug mainly produce, like for example I am giving you example like Primaquine, or you can say anti-malarial drug. Whenever you will do question na, you can see like in question they will ask like there is one patient and we prescribe anti-malarial drug, and ultimately this patient have hemolysis. So ultimately you can see like from this you can understand. And like for example sulfonamide drug and nitrofurantoin drug, this drug mainly we prescribe in UTI. And one more drug like furazolidone. So these drug like sulfur drug is, we know like this is antimicrobial drug. So what is the point of understanding this? Why only these drug cause hemolysis in these patient? Because these drug produce free radical, or we can say like these drug produce in body oxidative stress. So ultimately because of these drug oxidative stress occur in body, and if any patient have G6PD deficiency because of their genetic, ultimately these patients are going to hemolysis, like hemolysis is going to occur in these patient. Okay, now next we are going to talk about one more thing in this, that for we have to understand acetylation. So acetylation, by name we can understand that acetylation we are talking about any reaction in which reaction we are going to add any acetyl group. Yeah, by this term only we can understand this thing. Now as we already studied in drug metabolism, in drug metabolism what we studied, there are two reactions like phase 1 reaction and phase 2 reaction. And we already studied that in phase 1 reaction, like this is mainly catabolic reaction, and in this reaction we attach mainly functional group. In this reaction we attach functional group by the process of like oxidation, hydrolysis, and like reduction. By all these reaction, with the help of these reaction, what is the main aim of phase 1 reaction? Like we are going to attach one functional group. Why? Because in phase 2, like phase 2 reaction also known as conjugation reaction. So what we do, like from the name we can understand that conjugation reaction means we are going to conjugate one molecule to another molecule. So in this reaction what we do, we conjugate one group to this functional group, and what we will do, we will try to make the drug water soluble with the help of this conjugation reaction. And ultimately when the drug become water soluble, this drug is going to excrete out from the kidney. Okay, so why I'm going to explain you this, because for understanding of the concept of acetylation you have to know that where acetylation is occur, in which reaction, in drug metabolism, in which phase. So acetylation reaction, this reaction is done by one enzyme, that is N-acetyl transferase. Okay, and level of this enzyme, like level of this enzyme is different in different person. So what I told you, like level of this enzyme is different in different person or people. Okay, now if the level of this enzyme is different, so for example, like in some person, if the level of this enzyme is high, ultimately fast acetylation can occur. Fast acetylation is going on in that patient, like if more level is present. Okay, if more level is present, fast acetylation can occur. And if low level is present, for example, like level of this enzyme is low. Okay, for example, low enzyme is present, ultimately slow acetylation, or we can say low acetylation occur in this patient. Okay, now ultimately in these patient, only those drug which metabolize by acetylation, only the effect of those drug is going to different in these person. And what are those drug which metabolized by acetylation? So drug, like I'm giving you list of those drug which mainly metabolize by acetylation, and these drug you can remember by the mnemonic SIP. And this mnemonic is not mine, this is universal mnemonic, like everywhere you can see this mnemonic. And from S, the drug is sulfonamide drug. And in sulfonamide mainly Dapsone drug. And from H is hydralazine. From I is isoniazide. And from P is procanamide. Okay, mainly this we can like give in arrhythmia. And sulfur drug we already told, like it's antimicrobial drug. And sulfur drug also we studied in J6PD deficiency pharmacogenetic. So all these drug, I'm telling you one more extra point, like all these drug can result into SLE like syndrome. Sometime examiner ask this question. So what the concept of this, like if we are going any of these drug and the patient have different genetic makeup of acetylation enzyme, okay, like NET enzyme and acetyl transferase enzyme. So ultimately, for example, if we are going, for example, we are giving isoniazid drug, okay, and patient have more level of enzyme is present, so ultimately what happen, fast acetylation will occur. If fast acetylation will occur, the drug will metabolize more rapidly. More rapidly. Okay. And if drug will metabolize more rapidly, drug will went out from kidney more rapidly. And for a particular time, there is no particular concentration is present in blood. So ultimately, the effect of this drug is going to reduce. So response of this drug is reduced. Why response is reduced? Because for example, we want this drug in blood for 1 hour, but because of the patient genetic, like because of fast acetylation. In half hour, like in half an hour, the drug is metabolized and went out from kidney. So ultimately the response will reduce. And we can take like another example. If the patient have low enzyme and there is low acetylation present, so ultimately drug metabolize slowly, and drug metabolize slowly, ultimately it will pass out from kidney slowly, and ultimately deposition will occur. And when deposition will occur, ultimately drug side effect will come. Okay, so this is all about acetylation. There is one more condition, or we can say there is one more condition, like that is succinylcholine induced apnea. Now we already studied about succinylcholine esterase enzyme. So like in short form, we already study in parasympathetic system. There is like acetylcholine neurotransmitter which act on sodium channel and nicotinic receptor. If anybody don't know about these concept, they can write down in comment. We are going to make video on these concept also. So I am telling you in short form or in briefly that what is the function of this enzyme here. Now first of all, you need to understand that this enzyme, this neurotransmitter or this product is metabolized by pseudocholine esterase, and this is present in mainly blood. And whenever, or you can say blood or plasma, whenever we are going to give this drug to patient, it will went to blood, and this enzyme metabolize this drug so rapidly that within minute, or you can say within second, this drug is metabolized. Okay, so like within 5 minutes this drug is metabolized. So what is the use of this drug? We are using this drug as short acting drug because these are the shortest acting. What is succinylcholine? These are the shortest acting muscles relaxant. So it means we are going to use this drug to relax the muscles. And what are those conditions in which we need to relax the muscles for short time? So this drug mainly used in endotracheal intubation. Okay, what is the meaning of endotracheal intubation? It simply means we are going to pass the endotracheal tube from mouth to trachea. Okay, what is the meaning of endotracheal intubation? To pass the endotracheal tube from mouth to trachea. Okay, now, and we know one thing, that this drug is shortest acting drug. So we have to do endotracheal intubation within 5 seconds, 10 seconds or 15 seconds, because after this drug completely metabolized, and ultimately the patient is going to have gag reflex, and because of those gag reflex we are unable to pass tube. Okay, endotracheal tube. So what happened in some patient, there is atypical pseudocholine esterase present, or we can say the concentration of this enzyme is less. Okay, so if the concentration is less, ultimately in that patient this drug cannot be metabolized so rapidly, and ultimately these like respiratory muscles will relax for more than 5 minutes. And if it relax more than 5 minutes, or like in this we can say like because of this drug any other muscles also will relax, for example diaphragm and intercostal muscles. And when the diaphragm and intercostal muscles become paralyzed or become relaxed, ultimately the patient can't take breath, and ultimately patient develop apnea. And this is also a emergency condition. See, we are going to do endotracheal intubation because patient can't take breath, and because of their genetic makeup we give succinyl choline drug, and ultimately if there is any genetic problem ultimately patient can develop apnea further. So this is all about pharmacogenetic. So what we studied in pharmacogenetic, let's do one summary. In pharmacogenetic we studied like when same drug produce different effect on different person. Why same drug is producing different effect on different person? Because of their different genetic makeup. In this mainly you can say you have to understand three things mainly. There is one G6PD deficiency, acetylation, and succinyl choline esterase induced apnea. And you are going to have question also, like in question the examiner will ask you like if we prescribe a patient primaquine drug or anti-malarial drug, and because of this drug the patient develop hemolysis, and so what is your diagnosis? Ultimately in option you can see there is C6PD deficiency, pseudocholinesterase deficiency, like these option you will get. So you can understand because of this drug if hemolysis is going to occur, ultimately this patient have G6PD deficiency. Next, acetylation. For acetylation you have to remember these drugs SIP, like SHIP, sulfonamide, hydralazine, and isoniazine and procainamide. And also one more point, these drug also can produce SLE like syndrome. And the last one is succinyl choline induced apnea. And this is all about this video, and whatever another topic you want to understand you can write down in comment. Thank you. Bye bye.